Master.
Emily? Is that you? Oh, it's been years. Look, I've heard you've become quite the famous perfumer in Fontaine. It would seem...
Oh, well, it's all thanks to your mentorship.
Ah, hardly. I taught you the base. I've taught many students here in Sumeru over the years, but I've yet to see one turn out quite as accomplished as you. You're the only one who can take credit for that. And who are these two? I don't recall you mentioning them in your letter.
Ah, they're my new friends, the Traveler and Paimon.
Emily's friends.
And these two gentlemen are
Of course! We're perfume merchants from Fontaine. I'm Oud, and this here is my younger brother,
Yes.
merchant brothers?
You must be here to look for the August flower, then.
Huh?
Well, what respectable perfume merchant hasn't heard of Auguste? And
I'm guessing you're here for the same reason, Emily. We were just about to get into it, so you three might as well join in. I commissioned a few eremites to do some scouting for me. They searched all over Sumeru, but there were no sightings of... That being said, there are people in Port Ormos who claim to have smelled a unique... Some of them were merchants who lived in Fontaine 20 years ago. According to them, the a one-of-a-kind.
Maybe someone around here just happens to have a bottle of August from back then.
No, I don't think so. I doubt that's the case. Even if someone had a bottle that was never opened, the fragrance of the perfume would have changed over time. Auguste is even more prone to that kind of shift. Only a few bottles still exist in Fontaine, and their scent would have completely degraded by now. Although, could there be a flower out there with a similar fragrance? Or in accord with the same...
Impossible! If Auguste were that easy to replicate, it would never have sold for such a high price all those years ago.
Technically speaking, the scent...
well, let's table that question for now. Edgar, did any of those people...
No. By the time they realized they had smelled something, the scent was already gone. Compared to things we see and hear, smells can be much
It almost sounds like someone wearing the Auguste fragrance passed them on the street.
Wait, are you saying...
Just thinking out loud!
We don't have much to go off of right now, but we can't rule out that possibility. You all traveled so far to be here. Why don't you rest in the hotel for a bit?
Ooh, you've got the keys to the rooms? Do we get free lodging, too?
My apologies. All the rooms in the hotel are accounted for, I'm afraid. I managed to tidy up one of the rooms for these two at the last minute, but by the time Emily wrote to me, there was no more.
Oh, and we just showed up out of the blue. Guess that means there's
I should have been more considerate. Here I am with an entire hotel at my disposal.
Don't worry, Master. I can sleep on the boat tonight. Or I could even camp in the wild. It would give me the opportunity to collect some plant specimens while I'm here in Sumeru. Ah, even better. Although, would it be possible for me to leave some of my luggage here? It would be rather
Well,
Of course, no trouble at all. My brother...
all right then. Oud, why don't you take Emily? I'll prepare some refreshments and...
Whoa, the smell of flowers is so strong. Didn't Edgar say he tidied up? Hyman took a peek through the window earlier and his house was packed with flowers. Looks like this exhibition is gonna be huge.
No, that's a florist thing. We work closely with the essential oils of various plants, but to maintain a sharp sense of smell, most perfumers prefer to keep their homes free of strong odors.
Oh, guess there's just too much to store for the exhibition then.
Oh, this room seems to be a connected suite, and my brother will be staying on the other side of the suite. Blaze, while you're out, why don't you bring our luggage over? Blaze!
Yes, of course.
All right, then. Where can we find your luggage, mademoiselle?
It's still at the port. In addition to some daily necessities, there's also a case of amber wine that I brought back from Fontaine. Could I trouble you to bring that back as well? It would be the perfect way to repay.
Ha ha! How generous! I should thank you on my brother's behalf.
Is that so? Mr. Ood, Mr. Blaze, thank—
Hey! What are you doing?
That's Master's voice.
Edgar!
Master!
Hey, Edgar! Are you all right?
Who did...
Kyria.
Kyria!
Hey, Edgar? Edgar!
No, don't shake him. He's injured. Just leave him to me. You two can... Oh, thank you.
That strange smell around here. Is it coming from this bottle? Oh, really? You think so?
I checked. It doesn't look like anyone passed through.
Oh, but that's impossible. It's not like that kid can just grow... Oh, the culprit, I mean. It's not like the culprit could have just...
Do you think whoever did this was hiding in the flowers before they attacked Edgar? True. Well, we looked all over, but the only clue we found was that bottle.
The most important thing we can do now is focus our efforts on treating Master.
So, how how's he doing?
When I administered emergency treatment, I discovered a residue in his nose and mouth. Master was... He's still unconscious, and inducing vomiting could obstruct his airways. We'll have to look into... Ah, yes. The scent is the same, but the chemical composition is... But first, I do believe there are two people who could Mr. Sylvain, Mr. Lucien.
Wait, you know...
Hey! Were you talking to us, mademoiselle?
Before arriving in Sumeru, I asked a friend from the Special Patrol to look into the creators of Auguste. There were 4 people in total. The perfumer, Edgar, a researcher from Sumeru responsible for cultivating the Auguste flower, and the two brothers capitalized on the mythos surrounding Auguste. Their actions, in the end, they were sent to the Fortress of Meripede for falsifying their accounts and destabilizing the market.
And what does that have to do with us? There are countless merchant families in Fontaine.
Every time your brother called you Blaze, it took you several seconds to respond. But when I called you Lucien just now, the name registered immediately.
Ah, Miss Emily, out of respect for your position as a you have a bright future ahead of you. You wouldn't want to develop a reputation as someone who throws...
You claim to be regular perfume merchants, and yet, when I brought up amber wine, you took it to be alcohol.
What?
Amber wine is a perfume I created several years ago. It wasn't particularly renowned, but until recently, they were living somewhere completely...
Emily, you little...
Don't misunderstand, Mr. Sylvain. I don't bring this up to criticize you, no matter what, but Master's life is in danger. We need to learn whatever we can about the... If Master's attack had something to do with Auguste, I would imagine the two of... So I'd like to trouble you for some information, if I'm...
Fine.
Sylvain!
Lucien, if this will help us find Kyria, then it will be all worth it. Besides, we've already told... You were right, Miss Emily. There were 4 of us at the beginning. Myself, Lucien, Edgar. Sometime down the road, the Marechaussee Phantom came knocking. Saddled us with a list of accusations.
Sounds like he's still upset about that. Wait, then how did Edgar end up in Sumeru?
Master was convicted as an accomplice, so he only had to serve a few years. He decided to move to Sumeru so that he could put those events behind him. Still, Master was depressed for a long time after that. He stopped making new perfumes and focused on introducing... That's how I met him. My parents had to relocate to Sumeru for work when I was a child. But we can talk about that some other time. I want to hear more about this researcher, Vijava.
Like us, Vijava was also staring down in him. But before the Phantom showed up at her door, she set all the flower beds on fire.
But destroying all that evidence... Wouldn't...
It didn't matter at that point, because she died in the fire as well.
What?
Sounds like you did an investigation of your own. Why even ask us if you knew all of this already?
The name wasn't mentioned in any of the files I reviewed either. But you two seem quite...